Hi, I'm Richard McKenzie, co-author of Microeconomics for MBAs. This video module is going to be concerned with natural monopolies. In other video modules, we've always assumed a long-run average cost curve that has a range of economies of scale and a range of diseconomies of scale. The curve has looked something like this. That is, for a spell, a firm can expand its plant and all other resources and reduce its average cost curve. But then after a while, organizational costs begin to mount, and the long-run average cost curve slopes upward. The long-run marginal cost curve slopes upward as well. We have effectively assumed throughout to this point in the course that the relevant demand curve is intersecting these curves while they are upward sloping. Suppose, however, that the demand curve were much more restricted, or that the economies of scale were much greater than what is described here. Put another way, suppose the demand curve were downward sloping in this particular range. That is, a range in which the average cost and the marginal cost curves are declining. Another way of drawing this graph and simplifying the analysis is to go to a figure that looks like this. Here we have the long-run average cost curve, the long-run marginal cost curve. They're sloping downward. It could very well be that there are diseconomies of scale at some future point in time, but that's going to be outside of the range of the relevant demand, which is here. Now, in this kind of market, there will be only one producer surviving any kind of competitive struggle. We can deduce that just by noting that if, in fact, production occurred at quantity Q1, the price would have to be, a non-discriminating price would have to be P1. If, in fact, there were more producers than one producing quantity Q1, then the firms would be losing money, because at a price of P1 and quantity Q1, if one firm were producing all of Q1, the average cost would be AC1, which would be equal to the price, and there would be a break even. If you had two firms producing quantity Q1, that is, suppose that each firm were producing 1/2 of Q1, then that means that the total output would be Q1, the price that could be charged would be P1, but the average cost of production would be here, AC2. And as a consequence, the total cost of production would be 0, AC2, Q1 divided by 2. The revenues would be P1 times Q1 divided by 2, or 0 P1 B Q1 divided by 2. The losses of each firm would be there. So both firms would either get out of the production, or some savvy entrepreneur would note that the stock prices of both firms is suppressed, that the investor could buy both firms and then achieve the economies of scale, one firm producing quantity Q1. So you have one firm that will naturally emerge from this competitive struggle. Now, that one firm may think that it is a monopoly because it is in fact called a natural monopoly, and it might try to restrict output to where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, right there at B, and it might then try to sell this quantity, Q1 divided by 2, at a price of P2. If it did that, and if it tried to act like a monopoly, it would have to be protected like any good monopoly must be protected, and that is, there must be barriers to entry. But just because you have one producer in a market doesn't necessarily follow that that firm has monopoly power. Why? Because that one firm may be there only because the market is not big enough for one firm. If that firm tries to restrict output to raise price, other firms can potentially move in. So you need entry costs in order for this one natural monopoly to be a true monopoly. Now, the output that is chosen by any kind of competitive natural monopoly is not going to be the efficient output level. The efficient output level is going to be here, where the marginal cost intersects the demand curve. But the efficient output level means that the firm will be losing money. Its average cost is going to be AC3. The price that it can charge is going to be P3. It's going to be losing money equal to that. The argument is sometimes made that what we need to do is subsidize natural monopolies so that they can, in fact, produce the efficient output level. The problem here, of course, is that once you start subsidizing any firm, the average cost curve of production can, in fact, start going up. And if, in fact, it starts going up, the price may have to go up also. One of the arguments for subsidizing the post office in the United States has been it is a natural monopoly. But we have observed that with the Postal Service being subsidized, it has had some efficiency problems. Its costs seem to always be escalating. Even if the post office was a natural monopoly at one time, it's lost much of its monopoly capability simply because of the advent of new technology in the form of email. Thank you very much for being with me.